Welcome back to Transfer Review on EFD with me and Pat, where we take a look at some of the latest and greatest and sometimes transfer rumours hitting the papers this week. Now, last week we had a look at Manchester City, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
News has been a little slow this week, barring one club, so we'll start with them. And the first player Liverpool have been looking at is Mohammed Salah from Roma. Now, reports say this transfer could be finalised this week after having their initial 28 million bid rejected by Roma. It looks to have gone up from to 35, in between the region of 35 and 40. Now this would represent a huge profit for Roma, having only paid 12.75 million for him from Chelsea. And Liverpool also tried to acquire the player, didn't they, back in 2014 when Chelsea were letting him go. But he slipped through the fingers. He's been over in Italy. He's been prolific this season in particular. 15 goals and 11 assists, and Klopp looks determined to get his man, Pat.
Yeah, he does. He said that they could have actually used another winger when Sadio Mane went away to the African Cup of Nations.
Yep.
Though, of course, Salah would probably go to that as well. But, of course, Sadio Mane was injured as well, and he's the natural comparison for Salah. He got 13 goals and 5 assists this season. He was the player of the season for Liverpool, despite spending a lot of time on the sidelines with that injury. And this would presumably mark a shift of Mane from the right to the left, and Salah would take that spot on the right because he likes to cut in. He's left-footed. Let's take a look at some of his numbers. He's got 1.3 take-ons per 90 to Mane's 2.7, so he's much less of a dribbler. He's more of a push-and-go player. He'll just push it, and because he's so fast, he relies on that pace to get past people. That might be a little bit of a problem, actually, because while in previous years we'd have said that Serie A had kind of deep-sitting conservative defences, you actually get a lot more of those in the Premier League now, at least comparing over the last season or so. So it might be interesting to see how he'll adapt to that. But incredibly fast, very creative as well, 2.6 chances created per game. That compares to Sadio Mane's 1.7. So he really is a dynamo in the final third. He's accustomed to pressing as well. Luciano Spalletti's system required a lot of energy from the wide players, and we saw in this match against Palermo that he was running the length of the pitch when Roma were 4-0 up just to make tackles in his own defensive third. Really impressive stuff. Of course, he's previously played in the Premier League with Chelsea as well, scored against Arsenal in that 6-0 drubbing a few years ago. So he has got some form. It'll be intriguing to see whether they can finalise this one.
Yes, I think this could be a ferociously good transfer. Ooh, Pharaoh, get it? Because he's Egyptian, mate. But it'd be interesting to see what Monchi, the new sporting director at Roma, could do with that 40 million, wouldn't it? Because he's been, as you say, a huge part of their success this season. So whether they'd be willing to sell without a manager, without a plan B, I'm not so sure. But Liverpool seem pretty hell-bent on getting him. So yeah, let's move on to their next transfer target, Pato, which is actually Lacazette.
Yes, Frenchman Alexandre Lacazette might finally be on his way out of Lyon this summer. Of course, he's been linked with Arsenal in previous seasons, and they may still be looking at him this year. But it looked like he had a move to Atletico Madrid sewn up. They thought, of course, that Antoine Griezmann might be going out the door, potentially to Man United. And apparently they had a verbal agreement, which was confirmed by Lyon chairman Jean-Michel Aulas. Since that's happened, Atletico Madrid's transfer ban has been upheld, and it would now mean that if Lacazette did want to sign for Atleti, he'd have to sit on the bench for 6 months before they could register him in January. Now, that's not something that you'd necessarily want when you're 26 years old and in fantastic form. 28 goals for Lyon last season, a lot of penalties in there admittedly, but very impressive compared to Liverpool's scoring stats. Their highest scorer was Coutinho with 13. So you see that there's a big difference when you add that elite level striker to the squad. Now, unless he's really, really set on Atletico Madrid, surely he's got to take an opportunity to go to a good club with an excellent manager who are playing in the Champions League next season. And surely they'd want him as well when you look at his numbers.
Exactly, as you say, they're missing someone prolific in that squad, aren't they? I'm surprised that Arsenal have actually overlooked the whole Lacazette situation, considering how much they wanted him prior, to go straight in for Mbappe. Would you not take a Lacazette for 40-50 rather than bid 130-40 for Kylian Mbappe at this point, if that meant Mbappe was your only summer transfer?
Well, I think the thing is that L'Équipe, who are reporting that Arsenal are interested in Mbappe, are also reporting that we're still considering Lacazette. So it's not like he's been completely dropped. But he does want Champions League football. And I also think for the price they're talking about, there are potentially better people on the market. Mbappe's more of an investment in the future. Lukaku would be as well. Alvaro Morata might be available for a very similar amount. He's a couple of years younger, and for my money, he's a lot better. But when you look at Lacazette's figures, they are absolutely insane.
Yeah, let's touch upon those figures now. He's averaging a goal every 90 minutes, and he's got a shot accuracy of over 65%. So when the Frenchman unleashes the beast, Pato, it's normally testing the goalkeeper out. However, as you intimated earlier, he did score 10 penalties last season, so we have to take that into consideration. And Ligue 1, on average, I think you can get more shots off in France than, say, England. Now, the apparent price tag would be 50 million euros. That's 15 more than Liverpool's current record. But in this economic climate, I don't think it's something they would bulk at. I mean, there's quite a lot of competition for the player, isn't there?
There is.
I mean, he's incessantly linked with Arsenal, Liverpool, obviously Atletico Madrid as well, Manchester United.
Yeah, that was
apparently.
a rogue one, wasn't it?
Very rogue. Maybe we should throw it out to the guys in a poll. Where do you think Lacazette's going? Let us know in the poll by voting. Do it.
Virgil van Dijk is apparently another potential arrival on Merseyside. £60 million apparently gets you the big Dutchman. I'm not talking about myself. Actually, here it's Virgil van Dijk, who I don't think is worth £60 million because he's imaginary.
Because he's a regen on Football Manager.
Good typing there, but that's absolutely fine. Liverpool want him, Man City want him, Chelsea apparently wanted him at some point. ESPN have been talking this one up, and so have the BBC. Chris, who wants him? How much are they willing to pay for him? Is it going to happen? Can we never speak about him again?
Yes, I'm getting a little bit bored of this. I was hoping Manchester City would sell this transfer early doors. But either way, if he goes for 60 million quid, Pato, I'm an extremely happy man. Celtic get 10 to 15% of that transfer fee. That means we can buy Paddy Roberts and, you know, a hell of a lot of bookie.
How can you buy Paddy Roberts for that?
Because apparently he's available for £5 million.
Bollocks, he can't be. I'd have him at Arsenal.
They bought him for 11, but £6 million apparently were add-ons promised to Fulham that have yet to be fulfilled. So, I mean, if we got him for 5, absolute bargain. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. It's Van Dijk, who would also apparently be on wages of 200k a week, making him probably the most expensive defender of all time and the most well-paid defender in the world. Is he worth that? Now, he's a ball-playing defender, isn't he? He looks very comfortable on the ball, taking it down, can take his man on, can actually take set pieces as well, which is a rarity. His aerial prowess is pretty unrivaled in the Premier League, and I think Liverpool could probably use him. Lovren and Matip don't strike me as a championship-winning duo, and they haven't exactly got much strength and depth, have they, in the Liverpool ranks?
Now, a question here might be, why would he cost so much? Well, there are certain factors that are going to drive up his price, okay? He's 25 years old, so he's experienced, but he's not too old. He's 6'4", I believe, but he's still very quick. He's great in the air. He's a very good passer. He's at a Premier League club who, of course, have a lot of money and can say no to lower fees. So there are a lot of ways that his price is getting boosted here. And as a result, £60 million is what we've ended up with. 2.7 interceptions per 90 this season. So he's an aggressive defender. He loves to step out of the back line. And in Liverpool, that pressing system means that the defenders kind of need to cover a lot of space at any given moment. 4.7 aerial duels he wins per 90. When I looked at this earlier in the season, I found that nobody in the Premier League this year won more headers per minute they were on the field than Virgil van Dijk. So he provides some stability, and of course it'll be exciting for Liverpool to hear that somebody wants them over the other big teams.
Apparently he's impressed by Klopp's personal involvement in the pursuit of him.
Yeah, I'm not surprised there. And also, if I was Southampton, I might be quite interested if Liverpool were prepared to include Mamadou Sakho as well as a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to say, if they get 30 million for Sakho from Palace, who, you know, he was almost their player of the year, wasn't he, after joining on loan in January. If they paid 30 million for him, which is a very believable transfer when it comes to Crystal Palace, then 60 mil becomes not that much, does it?
But if I was Southampton, I'd want him as part of the deal. I think Mamadou Sakho is really underrated. He's actually a really aggressive passer on the ball. And while he's not as elegant or at the same level as Virgil van Dijk, obviously, he'd still be a really, really good addition for that team.
Yeah.
Now, there's a little bit of bad news at the moment for Liverpool, which is that Southampton are apparently going to report them for illegally tapping up Van Dijk.
Yeah,
and given how much time Liverpool spend trying to steal players from the Saints, I'm not surprised that they finally had enough and decided to ship them.
Yeah, that is
Grass them up.
That is a very valid point.
You're snitches, Southampton.
But where should he go, guys? Van Dijk, Liverpool or Manchester City? Let us know in the comments below. We end this week's transfer review on a swap deal because they're really feasible and almost always happen.
They happen all the time.
Note the sarcasm. But yeah, we're going to touch upon a little known Spaniard called David De Gea, who's never involved in transfer rumours, to a plucky little Spanish club called Real Madrid. Apparently they want him yet again, but this time instead of offering £60 million, they're going to offer £22 million and Alvaro Morata, which would leave United with no goalkeepers, but loads of striking options.
It's a bit of a weird one. Look, Man United probably want Morata, and Real Madrid I'm sure would like David De Gea, even though I can't for the life of me understand why. They've won 2 Champions Leagues now with Keylor Navas and La Liga. He's a really good keeper.
I know.
I don't
When is he going to get the credit he deserves?
Get it. It doesn't make sense to me at all. But you might say there's a tiny bit of rationality behind this, which could be they want De Gea, he's younger than Navas, and of course he's a hometown boy, and he's a big name, which they like. And if they are making these huge bids, which keep being rumoured for Kylian Mbappe, then maybe they are willing to let Alvaro Morata go as well. But those are the only things that I can think are in favour of this. It makes no sense to me. I don't know why we haven't made this the transfer shocker. Laziness, I think. It's stupid.
Why would they want to get rid of Morata either? 15 goals in 26 appearances in the league.
He's got more goals than Benzema this season in limited minutes. He's an absolutely sensational player.
Yeah. I mean, this, as you say, this may well, this should have been the transfer shocker. I can't see it happening because swap deals are always just paper fodder, aren't they? So, no. It's a no from us. But, you know, look forward to talking about De Gea next week. So that was this week's transfer review, guys. Have we missed any big stories out? Who should be our transfer shocker next week? You probably don't know because you can't see into the future. But still, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed this, God knows why, but if you did, stay right here on Euro Football Daily. Check out Football Mundial, check out Continental Club, check out Stat Wars, which, as we all know, is the best show on this channel or on Football Daily.
One we actually enjoy filming.
Well, yeah, it's actually
Quality.
good.
Anyway, see you soon.